Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my colleagues, I would like to present to you this paper on narrow heat flux channels in the compass limiter scrape-off layer. Our motivation is to optimize shape of inner wall limiter of the ITER tokamak. The ITER first wall is shaped for startup and ramp-down scenarios in limiter configuration, preferentially at high field side, as you can see on the figure. First wall toroidal shaping on ITER is designed to spread power uniformly for a single scrape-off layer heat flux decay length called lambda q. Several works predict lambda q around 5 centimeters. However, there is a problem. Indeed, the near scrape-off layer is much steeper than the main scrape-off layer. As you can see on the photograph, in 2013 the jet high field side limiter has melted, even though it has been designed for a single main scrape-off layer of 1 centimeter. In fact, the infrared camera shows that the main scrape-off layer was much steeper than the main scrape-off layer as shown on the bottom graph. Therefore, ITER International Tokamak Physics Activity Group launched investigations of the high field side limiter power deposition. This is why on the compass tokamak we installed thermography observing the inboard limiter for plasmas in circular configuration touching the high field side. Then we ran hundreds of discharges in this thermographic configuration. We used roof and double roof limiters in order to clearly distinguish between parallel and perpendicular heat fluxes. We also inserted the limiters deeper and deeper up to 40 millimeters in order to see for expected misalignments the effect of the near scrape-off layer. The last limiter we used, the recessed double roof, is similar to the actual design for ITER construction. Let's summarize the results. Without exception, we see that all temperature maps, which are processed by Theodore to get heat fluxes, are well described as parallel plasma heat fluxes projected by local incidence angle. The radial profile is then given by sum of two exponentials for the main and near scrape-off layer, characterized by two decay lengths, lambda q's. Significance of the near scrape-off layer is described by a single number called RQ. High value means that near scrape-off layer dominates the heat flux profile. Interestingly, we observe that RQ increases with plasma current and limiter insertion in front of all the surrounding limiters. So, what about the near scrape-off layer decay length? How does it scale? Why is it even present? Recently, so-called heuristic drift-based model was developed by Rob Colston to describe decay lengths in diverters of jet and ASDEX upgrade. Surprisingly, as shown in this graph, when compared the model predicted values with our near scrape-off layer observed decay length, we see quite a good match in both absolute magnitude and scaling with plasma current. Let's get to the conclusions. Compass sees clear evidence for narrow near scrape-off layer heat flux in high field side limited plasmas, so it confirms jet observations. This persists across a range of limiter shapes and insertions. We see clear double exponential heat flux profile with 4 parameters. First one is known from power balance, so it's simple. Lambda q main is scaled elsewhere. The ratio between the near and main scrape-off layer, RQ, seems to increase with insertion, and for recessed limiters it increases with plasma current. The near scrape-off layer decay length seems to be consistent with the heuristic drift-based model, so it scales inversely with plasma current and it predicts 4 mm for ITER. This work, along with other contributing tokamaks D3D, CMOD, TCV and JET, has resulted in a design change to the ITER high field side first wall panel toroidal shaping, which has been published this year in Nuclear Fusion. Thank you for your attention.